Hi everyone. It is 7 p.m. now, so welcome to the Blue Sky Solar Racing Fall 2020 recruitment event. My name is Leo, and I'm the project manager for the Blue Sky Solar Racing team here at the University of Toronto. Just first things first, let's just check that everything is working technically with the stream. This is the first time I've ever done live streaming, so just send a quick message to the stream chat if you can hear me fine, if you can see me fine. Okay, yep, we got one person who's good, so I'm assuming that that's good for everyone. Well, thanks so much again for coming. Let's just dive right into it. So, for tonight's agenda, we'll first go over a brief introduction of the team and competition, an overview of our current cycle, the 2019 to 2021 cycle. Then we'll go into what positions are available for fall 2020 recruitment, and then what's the recruitment timeline like, and what's the process, and finally we'll have some Q&A time. So first, who are we? We are a student-run design team here at the University of Toronto that designs, builds, and races solar-powered race cars in races such as the World Solar Challenge. These cars are powered purely by solar energy, and we participate in endurance races like the one here shown in the photo, which is the World Solar Challenge. We build one of these every 2 years to coincide with the race. Our team is multidisciplinary, has people from a variety of faculties, departments, just because there's so many different positions and opportunities here within the team that suits many different interests. And we're not just a pure engineering team, even though within engineering there's just so many different opportunities as well. We have electrical engineering, software engineering opportunities. There's just so many different aspects that go into a solar car, so that's why we have such a diverse range of people. And beyond the engineering aspect, there is also many other opportunities for people to engage in the business side of things, to engage in media, photography, videography, finance, management even. For example, like someone in my role, my main job is to do management. So that's why we have such a diverse team, and that's why this team is not really just purely focused towards engineering. It's really open to everybody. So what is the whole process of solar racing and how we do this? Well, first, there's really 3 stages. There's design, build, and race. First is the design stage. We design all our cars completely from scratch. So here you can see a photo of our last car's design. So that involves a lot of CADing, a lot of simulation work. That's on the structural, mechanical, and also aerobody design side. Then we also have a lot of electrical design work to be done. So that encompasses the design aspect, and then after the design is done, we also have to build the car completely from scratch, because it's done mostly by ourselves as well. We build the carbon fiber car body, we assemble it all together, we assemble the mechanical system, we manufacture and test the electrical system ourselves as well. And then finally, after the car is done, we will bring it to a race, which is primarily the World Solar Challenge. So you can see kind of here in the 3 photos here that highlights the 3 stages of the solar racing cycle, essentially. So here's some history on our team. Our team has been around for over 20 years, over 24 years to be exact. Started in 1996. So far, we have built 10 cars. So here you can see 9 of them. And our latest car is the Viridian, which competed at the World Solar Challenge in 2019 and last October. So here is this car. Here's the Viridian, our latest car. And what is the World Solar Challenge? Well, the World Solar Challenge is the premier solar challenge in the world. is a 3,000 kilometer endurance race from the very north end of Australia, as you can see on the map here, in Darwin, all the way down south to the south end of Australia in Adelaide. And that's done over the course of 4 to 5 days. The solar car runs completely on solar energy the whole way through. This event happens every 2 years. Our main target is also to participate and do as well as we can in the World Solar Challenge. As I may have mentioned before, we build a new car every 2 years for this race. So let's get into what this generation is so far. So current generation we have, the 2019 to 2021 cycle, is aimed at competing in the World Solar Challenge 2021. It began just a few months after the conclusion of the 2019 World Solar Challenge, and we're building the 11th car, hence the 11th generation team. The new team formed in January 2020 when we did our winter 2020 recruitment event, and then from January until June we had an extensive learning period where first we had many recruitment workshops, training workshops, and then it was more focused training projects. Also, we did a lot of conceptual design until June. Well, conceptual design is the first stage of our design process. It is more for just fleshing out rough ideas, the general direction we want to take the next car. And then we began detailed design at the conclusion of conceptual design in June 2020. And that is projected to continue and wrap up early October this year. So detailed design is when we really settle down on a main design and then flesh it out, and essentially have this is a process where we take the general ideas and develop the details and optimize the whole car. So what happens after the design is done? After the design is done, we have to fabricate the car, we have to test the car, and we have to then finally bring it to the race. Specifically, we have to manufacture the aero body and the chassis. We also have to manufacture and test the electrical system as well as the mechanical system. Then we have to, then another project is we try to bring it together and test the electrical system, mechanical system together via the JIT Car. And then we do the final car assembly and finishing with electrical system, mechanical system, and the aero body and chassis. And we do final testing of the finished car and characterize it so that we have a good idea of how it performs so we can formulate our strategy. And then finally we bring our race crew and also that car to the race in Australia next October, October 2021 for the World Solar Challenge 2021. So aero body and chassis, I'll just go over each of the points I mentioned earlier and give some more detail, give you guys a better idea of what each of those things are. So aero body and chassis fabrication is essentially the manufacturing of our carbon fiber car body and also the main structure inside it. That involves building our own molds, custom molds, first out of a plug material such as wood, and then out of a mold material, which is fiberglass, and then using that mold to manufacture the carbon fiber parts. We also have to first manufacture and then test and revise our electrical system so that it is stable before going into the car, just because it's such a safety critical system, along with all the other systems, of course. We do the same thing for our mechanical system. We have to manufacture it, take a look at all the parts, make sure it's all to specifications before we can put it on the car. And then we also, this for the first time in our team's history, we're planning to build actual fully running JIT Car, which is essentially a verification of the electrical system working together with the mechanical system in a mock-up car that runs and drives. As you can see here, clearly the photo is not our team. This is one of the top teams in the world here, and the JIT Car testing is a procedure that has been done by top teams over the many years, and this is the first time that we will be putting in the effort and the time to to do, and hopefully that will result in a much better, more stable car. Yes. And then after all those systems have been verified to work properly, it is time to put together the carbon fiber air body we made, the carbon fiber chassis we made, put in the mechanical system, the electrical system, essentially put everything together and into a finished car. And here is a photo of in the middle of assembly of us trying to assemble everything together. This is for the last car. And then after the car is finished, you can see the finished car here on track. We will be doing a lot of testing, just driving the car around, making sure that it doesn't break down, making sure that it is as we designed it, that it's aerodynamic, that it's efficient, there's no problems with it, it's running reliably, etc. And beyond testing for reliability and also design fidelity to design, we also characterize the car. So we find out what how aerodynamic it is, what is the actual drag coefficient, what is the rolling friction, what is the electrical system efficiency from the solar array to actual accelerating the car, etc. So that we have essentially a mathematical model of how this car performs. And then we'll put that through our strategy program so that we can develop the best strategy to allow our car to do as well as it can, which is essentially achieve the highest average speed possible or the lowest finishing time at the World Solar Challenge. And finally, we'll bring the car over to the World Solar Challenge in Australia in October 2021, along with a race crew of approximately 20 people from the team who will be over there. We'll be over there for around a month's time, doing some final prep for the car, and then bringing it to the competition. So you can see here, the photo on the left is Viridian, our last car, driving during the race on the Australian highways. And yeah, so this is the type of journey you will be part of. It's pretty interesting. We go through the entire outback of Australia, camping all the way along the way. Here on the photo on the right, you can see the many other cars that we were competing with. So that's a rough idea of how the cycle has been going and will probably go. So now let's get into what positions are available for fall 2020 recruitment. So for the fabrication team, we have 2 spots available. For the manufacturing team, we have 1 to 2 positions available, depending on the number of applications we get, etc. For the mechanical team, we have 2 positions available. For the array team, we have 1 position available. For the electrical team, we have 2 positions available. Operations team 2 to 3, and media, we have 1 position available. I'll go over each one of these positions and just provide a more in-depth description of them, also the kind of qualifications we're looking for. So for the fabrication team, team member is responsible for making the carbon fiber outer shell and the chassis of the car, also assembling all the parts of the car body together, especially the carbon fiber parts. The skills and experiences that we're looking for is experience with hands-on work. So if you've done a lot of personal projects that require a lot of building, if you have experience with woodworking, or you worked on cars before, etc., that's all very great experience. Also, experience using power tools is very valuable, just because we'll be using that a lot. Also, it's a requirement that you have to be available to work in person in the Toronto area, just because all of this has to be done in person. We have to manufacture the car in person, so unfortunately we're not able to accommodate remote working with the fabrication team. The manufacturing team is responsible for machining and welding mechanical components for the car, so manufacturing the actual components of the car as specified by the mechanical team as they have designed it. Experiences that we're looking for is machining, welding, and also experience using power tools. Also, you must be able to work in person, just because you have to actually manufacture these parts in person. Then we also have the mechanical team, which is responsible for designing, testing, and assembling the mechanical system of the car. Experiences we're looking for is experience with 3D CAD, for example, CATIA, Siemens NX, SolidWorks, Fusion 360. Also, experience with FEA simulations would also be very valuable. We use ANSYS Workbench here. Also for 3D CAD, we use CATIA, 3D Experience. And also it's preferred if you're available to work in person in the Toronto area as well, just because you'll be the mechanical team will be responsible for testing and assembling the mechanical system of the car. So you have to work with the actual parts and also the actual car itself. The array team is responsible for design, manufacturing, and the final assembly of the solar array that goes atop the car body. What we're looking for is basic knowledge of electrical circuits and electronics, and you must also be available to work in person in the Toronto area, just because our array manufacturing is also done in person, along with the rest of manufacturing and assembly. The electrical team is responsible for designing, manufacturing, and testing and integrating the electrical system, both the hardware side and software side. So there's a lot of variety of opportunities here, depending on your interest. Skills that we're looking for would be C programming, PCB design, embedded systems, familiarity with power electronics. Those are just some of the skills we're looking for. But because the electrical team is so broad, we obviously don't expect everyone to have both hardware and software skills. You may be more focused on one aspect or the other, but these are just some of the skills that might be helpful in getting a good experience being on the electrical team. Also prefer that you're available to work in person in the Toronto area like every other position, just because there's always in-person aspects, specifically testing and integrating the electrical system. But the operations team is responsible for keeping all our facilities, such as a workshop, which is not currently open yet, but we're hoping it will be open before the end of the year. And also keeping our facilities and logistics running smoothly, both here at our home base in Canada, also for any races we attend. So you'll be responsible for setting up the logistics and just dealing with all the complexity of going to Australia for the World Solar Challenge. Skills and experiences we're looking for would be experience in organizing events and trips, experience with hands-on work, just like the fabrication team, because we'll be building a lot of custom jigs, custom, I guess, furniture, shelves, etc. for the workshop, also in Australia. So hands-on work experience is very valuable. Also, G-Class driver's license would be greatly appreciated, just because here in Canada there's a lot of moving around. We have to go to sponsors, we have to pick up materials at different places. So someone who would be able to drive for those trips would be greatly valuable to the team. And of course, because of all those responsibilities, operations team members must be available to work in person in the Toronto area. And finally, I think this is the last one. Finally, there's the media team, which is under the advancement team, which includes both business, media, outreach, etc. So our media team is responsible for capturing our team's progress in photo and video form and putting together media material that showcases our team and our work. So skills and experiences that would be valuable would be experience in photography, videography, photo editing, video editing, and you must be available to work in person with our current team photographers and videographers to capture our work and our progress. So those are all the positions and all the details so far. Saw some questions in the chat. I'll answer them first after the whole information session is finished. So I'll just go over this first to finish everything up, and I'll answer those questions. So for the recruitment timeline, September 21st, 11:59 p.m. is the deadline for completing the application form. Then we'll review those application forms and start interviews from September 28th to October 2nd. And then by October 4th, we'll have made our decisions for who will be joining our team in this round of recruitment, and we'll send out those emails on October 4th. So here is the link to apply. I would encourage everyone to apply, even if you don't necessarily have all the qualifications that I have mentioned earlier. I don't expect people to have the full set. That's usually pretty rare to have people who have the perfect set of qualifications. So if you feel like, okay, maybe I don't have these skills or experiences, just apply anyways. It doesn't hurt really, and we would love to have you apply for the team, and maybe you'll be a great fit for the team. So in the application, you upload your resume, answer a few quick questions about why you want to join the team, what you want to get out of it, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can if you're selected for an interview. So that is the end of this presentation, the scheduled presentation. So before I answer any other questions, I'll first go to the 2 questions here in the chat. So Jeff asks, I'll just read it out loud for those who can't necessarily see the chat, I guess. Hi, just some question related to the electrical team. How detailed do we go with motor controller? Is it more like we buy a module that manages the control system, or do we go board level design for the high voltage circuit? So for the motor controller specifically, we buy the module and we treat it as a black box. So that is how it will work for the new car. However, if you're interested in sticking around after WSC 2021, it is planned that we will start a motor development project where we develop our own motor and our own motor controllers as a long-term R&D project for the team. So if you're interested in that, and maybe you could join the team and stick around as a major member of the team, and you'd be able to get involved in that. Second question is, could you explain what the graphics designing team does? And is there a position available for this team? Currently we do not, first I'll explain what the graphics design team does. So the graphics design team will design a lot of the documents and also promotional materials that we send out, that we print for events. So at our events we'll often have posters and banners out thanking sponsors or giving information about our new cars, a variety of different purposes. And our graphics designer is responsible for designing that. Our graphics designer is also responsible for designing digital documents such as sponsorship proposals that we send to sponsors, also for designing our sponsorship package, year-end reports, newsletters, just to make everything look very nice. In addition, there's one very exciting project that the graphics design team gets to do, which is design how the car looks. Not the shape of the car, that's designed by the aerodynamics team, but the actual graphics that go on the car. Or also in motorsport, the livery of the car. So that is what the graphics design team does, and currently there's no explicit position available for the graphics design team, but that may change in the near future. So I would just so right now there's no position available for this round of applications, but we may put out a separate application for that role depending on our needs, how we see our needs going. Next question is, what is the expected time commitment? Does it vary from position to position? it does vary from position to position, um, but the overall general time commitment is just because it's such a big project, uh, and there's just so much work that goes into it. We are looking for people who can put in from between 8 to maybe 15 hours of work. Just 10 hours of work is a pretty good standard for how much time needs to go into this project a week. Manufacturing the car, putting everything together, testing everything takes a lot of time, so that's why we do require a somewhat high time commitment. But also we believe that just all that time is very valuable for building experience and opportunity, so hopefully that doesn't put you off from joining the team. So far from my experience, the more time you put into the team, the more you get out of it. And I think that echoes the experience of everyone else I know on the team as well. And then, going back to the graphics design question. So, okay, so you saw that position on the application form. So I think it is open now. I think our advancement director added that position in then. So sorry for the misinformation. Yeah, so we do have graphics designer position open. So yeah, please do apply then. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, so going back to the time commitment question, yeah, it varies from position to position as well. Most of the technical team, especially the fabrication team, needs to put in a lot of time. Most other teams also need to put in a similar amount of time, but that time commitment level can vary from week to week, just because workload is also not super even throughout the whole timeline. Would I recommend that an interested first year apply, or would you recommend that I wait until upper years to develop more technical knowledge? Well, I would recommend anyone to apply. Like, it doesn't, like as I said before, definitely apply regardless of whether you think you are qualified enough or not. I mean, don't shut yourself down before you even try, right? So I think if you're very interested, willing to put in the time and effort, then definitely apply. And we'll chat in the interview, and we'll get a better idea of how you are. Though those requirements, those qualifications are not hard requirements, except for some positions that require you to be in Toronto. So yeah, please do apply. Yeah, so I think that's all the questions so far in the chat. I'll be around for another 10-15 minutes. If there are any more questions that you guys want to put in the chat. And if you don't have any questions, and yeah, if you don't have any questions, this is the end of the presentation. And so feel free to so feel free to leave. You're not gonna miss any information. Not really. Just write as much as you feel you can write. If you don't have too much to talk about for one question, don't force it. If you have a lot, then just write it all down. Yeah, it just depends on, like, just answer it fully and honestly, and that's it. Do you mind going back to the slide where it shows the timeline? Approximately when will I get information regarding the interview if I happen to make it to that round? So this is the timeline where we don't have a specific deadline or date for when we'll get back to people regarding interviews. It will definitely be before Hi everyone, I think I went offline for a little bit. Sorry about that. Let me know if it's good now. Yeah, and did I manage to finish my answer to the question on the length expected for written questions before cutting out? Okay, I'll go. I'll answer that again. Sorry about that. So for the length on the questions, it's really depending on just like your actual answer to the question. If the question is, what do you want to get out of Blue Sky, um, and your answer is, I want to get A, B, C, and D, just write it all down. Just be authentic, write an honest answer. If you have a lot to write, if you have a lot, if you have a lot to write, just write a lot. If you don't really have much to say, you don't have to write too much. There's no length requirement or recommended length for each question. Just answer it authentically and honestly, and so we can get the best idea of who you are and your fit on the team. Okay, and then next question is, do you mind going back to the slide where it shows the timeline? And when will information regarding the interview go out? So here's the timeline. Interviews happen from September 28th to October 2nd. We don't have a specific date where we will say we will get all the interview emails out. We'll probably just start sending it um, as we go, as we review the applications and as we make our decisions for interviews. You'll definitely get you definitely get an email regarding an interview at least 3-4 days before, at least I say 3 days before September 28th, so September 25th, to give you some time, to give you and us some time to schedule that interview. I think that's all the questions in the chat so far. I'll be around for maybe 10 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much again for everyone for showing up to this recruitment information session. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to see all your applications and also talk to some of you. Yep, thank you everyone. Thank you too. Thanks for showing up, and have a great weekend too as well. Yeah, so another question. Can we send net confirmation when receiving the application? Yeah, so that's a good idea. That wasn't planned before, but I think we'll do that for sure now. It's a great idea. So probably morning September 22nd, we'll send out an email to everyone whose application went through, just to confirm that you're in the application process. So if you don't receive an email by noon September 22nd and you did apply, just send an email to my email address. You can find it on our Facebook page. It is blueskysolar@utoronto.ca. Just send an email to me, letting me know that you didn't receive the confirmation email even though you applied. That's all the questions we have so far. We'll just wrap it up now. Thanks again for coming, and have a great weekend, everyone. I'm looking forward to reading your applications.